Transhumanism literally means beyond human, but we are a social movement of a couple million people who want to use science and technology to live indefinitely and also to radically modify the human being and to modify the human experience. So that can be anything from driverless cars to bionic limbs to even cranial implants, where we might use certain types of technology one day to upload our minds into machines. I'm hoping that I would live indefinitely. I would use some type of mechanism. There's now a way that you can kind of scan the brain and hopefully scan every little aspect of it and maybe upload it into a computer in the future. So the method that I would like to use is to not die at all, of course. But if I have to, I would use cryonics, which is when you freeze yourself with kind of nitrogen and a very deep cold, and then hope to be brought back in 50 years when science and technology has evolved enough to do that. But of course, I'm also a big believer in some of the other technologies, and even now there's a whole bunch of new ways. Like I was just visiting Terrasem in Florida on my Immortality bus trip, and they're already creating these things called mind files, where you would kind of use all your social media activity, download various experiences that happen to you, all the cool stuff that you've ever done in your life, try to upload it so that at some point in the future you might be able to reconstitute something that was very similar to what you were. Now, of course, that's not yourself, but at least it is something that is more than just a legacy. In the future, when we have AI and we can kind of combine these experiences, you might be able to create another form of myself or another form of oneself.
Now, because computer power keeps doubling every 18 months, it means that will affect biology, specifically genomics, meaning that within 10 years' time, I expect us to have a CD-ROM with every single gene in our body costing about $1,000. Today, to sequence every gene in your body would cost $50,000. That is the cheapest you can sequence every single gene in your body. Because of Moore's law, because things are being computer powered, it will be cheaper and cheaper. It means that within a 10-year period of time, it means that genomics will cost maybe just about $1,000. And that'll be the basis of all your medicine, which means that we'll be able to scan millions of genomes with a computer, and that can create a revolution in how we numerically analyze genes. For example, let's say we have 1 million old people and 1 million young people. We sequence the genes of old people, we sequence the genes of young people, because all of them have a CD-ROM, and we subtract. That allows you to isolate where aging takes place, specifically which genes are damaged in the aging process. Think of a car. Where does aging take place in a car? Well, the engine. Why? Because that's where combustion takes place. That's where we have the gum of deposits and soot build up in the engine, because that's where oxidation takes place. Well, where does oxidation take place in a cell? The mitochondria. The mitochondria is the engine of the cell. So we now know where aging takes place. And by scanning the genes, we'll be able to look at the genes of the mitochondria and be able to repair some of those genes. And that could open up a whole new realm of biology. In other words, biology will be reduced to computer science.
Do we even have to die? Like, come on, do we have to? Yes, is the short answer. We do have to die. At some point, we're probably going to want to, but we'll get there. Because there are ways that we're trying to beat death. Right now, the average age for humans is in the mid-70s. But there are still people that die before they're ready. And there are different ways that we can handle that. For example, cryonics. This is huge in science fiction and is not to be confused with cryogenics. It's a little different, or cryosleep, or any number of other things. They're all essentially this idea, and that is that we freeze the human body. We freeze it because freezing suspends its animation, and we're able to maintain our physicality, our physiology, for as long as we can.
We'll call this council meeting of July 14, 2016 to order. At this time, we will have an invocation by David Suhor. This will be followed by a Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice President Brian Spencer. We can.
Born of fearful minds in darkened times, let us embrace the Luciferian impulse to eat of the tree of knowledge and dissipate our blissful and comforting delusions of old.
So Allah said, Alhaakumut takathur. All of us, all of you are engaged in running your mouths, doing your business, multiplying, buying houses, cars, business, whatever you're doing. And when you're told about God, religion, life, morality, you're saying, look, I ain't got no time for that. I got no time for that. I don't want to hear that. I don't even believe in God. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I'm gonna die, and if I do, maybe I'm coming back again. As a matter of fact, science is so sophisticated that I think really that they're on the verge of being able to solve the whole thing of death soon. We ain't gotta die. If we got enough money, we don't even have to die. See how arrogant people can be until they visit the funeral house. And then after you go to the funeral house, if you got the guts, if you're able to do so, you go to the grave. And now this is another scenario. And you say to yourself, is that it? I mean, 50, 60 years, scraping, struggling, scheming, lying, stealing, fornicating, jumping up and down, begging, working, and this is the end of it? I mean, is this what's going to happen to me? Are they going to be dropping me into a hole in the ground? So you and I, we're going into a hole a little deeper than the one the cat dug. And all the people that's crying, pulling out their hair, screaming, almost acting like they falling in the thing with you. They want to just jump in there with you. Not really though, you know, it's all an act. Because ain't nobody really gonna jump in there and stay in there. They don't love you that much. And then after all the shoveling get done, and they fill it up, and the box, you can't even see the box no more, the coffin. So after all the money and all the drama, and they dig that hole and put you in there and cover you up, and everybody goes back to the place, go back to mama's house or daddy's house or whoever's house, and you know, we cook some chicken or whatever it is, and we do a little dancing and drink some scotch and forget all about that person, and then we want the lawyer to come now and talk about, you know, divvying up the spoils. So it really means that after all this time, and the people walk away from that grave, it's over. What about that person in the grave? What's happening? Because you know and I know that death is almost like sleeping. Death is like sleeping. Your body is gone. Your body is dead. Your spirit is gone, but your consciousness is there. Your spirit is gone. You can't shout. You can't call out. You can't say, don't leave me here. But you're going to be hearing and you're going to be seeing, because that's a different kind of consciousness. But you can't move. And in that grave, this is when the real trauma is going to begin.